everybody, welcome to another episode of Exploring Photography right here on Adorama TV. I'm Mark Wallace. Well, recently I did a video in Mexico City where I created this portrait, and I got an email on our message on Facebook that said this: "Hey Mark, I'm a little bit confused with your last post. I saw some natural light in the room, and the picture you came up with looks like it was taken in a dark room with one light." Well, absolutely. The way that was done is using one of the basic techniques of studio lighting, and that is separating the ambient light from the light from our flash. Now, what I'm going to do over the next few episodes is show you some basic studio lighting principles so that you can create your own studio and make your own work, and you can take those principles and really do some amazing things. So the very first thing we need to understand is this concept of ambient light and light from our flash, and it all boils down to understanding one very important thing, and that is how our camera's shutter works. So let's start there by learning about sync speed. It's important to understand how your camera's shutter works. Your camera's shutter has two curtains, and these curtains have names: the first curtain and the second curtain. They open and close to reveal light to the sensor, much like a curtain opens and closes in a theater to reveal what's happening on the stage. Let's take a closer look. When you press the shutter release with your finger, it tells the camera to open the shutter. The first curtain opens to reveal the light to the camera's sensor. Then the second curtain follows behind to hide the light. Then the curtains reset and wait for you to press the shutter release again. Let's watch that again. Notice in this animation that the first curtain opens completely before the second curtain begins to follow. This only happens at slower shutter speeds, usually speeds under 200th of a second. Now watch what happens when we speed things up. When the shutter speed is faster, the second curtain can't wait for the first curtain to open all the way. If it does, it won't make it across in time. Notice in this animation that the shutter is never fully open. It just reveals a slit of light as it travels across the sensor, and the slit becomes smaller as the shutter speed increases. Sync speed is the shutter speed on your camera that allows the first curtain to fully open before the second curtain begins to follow. In other words, it's the fastest shutter speed you can use with a flash. Let's take another look at your camera's shutter, this time with a flash in the mix. When your camera's shutter speed is set to sync speed or slower, a few things happen. When you push the shutter release button, the first curtain opens, and as soon as the first curtain is fully open, the flash fires. Then the second curtain closes. Normally, if we have our shutter speed set too high, we'd have problems. Let's take a look. When you press the shutter release, the first curtain will begin to open, but before it's fully open, the second curtain begins to close. When the first curtain is fully open, the flash fires just like it did before. But this time, part of the sensor is covered by the second curtain. This will cause our photo to have a black area. And the faster your shutter speed, the more black you'll have in your photo. All right, well, now that we know about sync speed, we're on the right track to solving the riddle of how I shot in a bright room and got a very dark exposure. Well, the secret to this is the understanding that anytime you add a flash to your camera, it doesn't matter if it's a speed light or a studio strobe, one exposure becomes two exposures. We have the ambient light, that's the light that's all around us, the light that's from the sun, the light from the street lights, the light that's from those office lights that you can't shut off, any light that you can't control that you have to react to as you normally would. That's ambient light, natural light, whatever you want to call it. That light, we have that exposure. And then we have our light from our flash. The nice thing is we can control these two things independent of each other. And so what we want to do in the studio is we want to take that natural light and get rid of it. And so the only thing we have left is the light from our flash. That way we can totally shape that light and make it exactly what we want it to be. And so that's the beauty of shooting in a studio. Now, to illustrate this, I have a fantastic model. She's the tallest model in the world. Her name is Kelly. Come on out, Kelly. Now, what we're going to have her do is we're going to have you stand right over there, and I'm going to take two photos. And so the first picture I'm going to take is just to show you that I can get rid of the ambient light altogether. Now we have some basic parameters that we already know about, and that is, first, we want our ISO to be as low as possible so we don't get a lot of ambient light. So I've set my camera to its base ISO, that's ISO 200. I want to keep my shutter speed as fast as it can go, but remember, because of sync speed, I can only go so fast. So on this camera, it's 180th of a second. So that leaves us with the third leg of the exposure triangle, and that is our aperture setting. So I've already looked through my lens and used my built-in light meter to figure out that at f10, my ambient light goes away. So to illustrate this, I'm going to shoot with no flash. So I'm going to turn right around. I'm going to just take a picture of you really quickly here. And so we've got this shot of Kelly, and if we look at that, it is absolutely, totally, 100% underexposed. There's just no light. There's nothing there. Now the cool thing is that means when I turn this flash on, the only light that my camera sees is the light that's coming from the flash, which means you could have an entirely white room, a white wall, you could have white floors, all of that stuff, and make it go completely dark. Now I'm going to show you how to do this. So what we're going to do here is Kelly's giving me my Profoto Air remote, and this allows me to trigger my flash. I'm going to put that on my camera here, and then I have a light meter. Now, what I've already done here is I've metered this. So I'm metering this here, and that meters at f10, and so that matches the aperture value that I've already set up. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to take another exposure. So Kelly, look right into that, and we are going to shoot this. It's going to look beautiful. All right, here we go, and look at that. Now we have a nice portrait, and as you can see, all of that ambient light goes away, and so we have a bright room, but we don't see any of that natural light. We only see the light from the flash. So there you have it. Once you know about sync speed, get your shutter as fast as you can go, lower your ISO, crank your aperture value down as small as possible to get rid of that ambient light, and then you're only going to get light from the flash, and then you're on your way to shaping that light and making it exactly what you want it to be, and that's how that works. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode about getting rid of ambient light and sync speed. Don't forget, we've got tons of videos on Adorama TV. They're absolutely free, so subscribe. Do it right now. It's absolutely free to do that. Thank you, Kelly, for a fantastic episode, and I will see you again next week.